March 18th meeting of the Columbia Borough Planning Commission. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Wickenheiser.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Lynn.
Present.
Secretary Lynn.
Here.
Member Evans.
Here.
Member Hartman.
Here.
Member Roach. Member Leclerc.
Here.
Okay, could we stand for pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, do I have a motion regarding the minutes as presented in your packet from the February 18th meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion from Brad. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
A second from Tiff. Any comments, changes? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. We have no zoning hearings. We have no engineers reviews, no demolition applications, public comment or questions, action items. I have on here request for the recreation waiver for 440 North 4th Street. That would be the Rivertown Summit project. Hi.
Aye. Steve.
My name is Mike Andrelzik. I'm the outreach manager with Lancaster Lebanon Habitat for Humanity. And we'd like to request that the recreation fee be waived on the 440 North 4th Street project that we're going to be beginning to start later this April. Just a little bit about that project, just for some background. It's a 5-unit new build. All 5 of those units have been matched with our Habitat families. They're all first-time home buyers, including Donatia, who is a Columbia resident. She has 3 children in the Columbia School District. Really excited about this project. It's going to be most likely the site for our really popular Women Build event in the fall. So that brings a lot of excited groups out to the sites, and it's just going to be a really great event. So basically a little bit more, just so you guys know about Habitat. We've worked with first-time home buyers that make 40 to 80% of the county AMI. That's like $83,000, so they're making 40 to 80% of that. They're willing to work with us, partner with us, pay an affordable mortgage, and put in between 200 and 400 hours of sweat equity, which involves financial literacy classes, home maintenance classes, and work on houses. So that's just a little bit about our program. Basically, you guys know Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit, so we rely on gifts from our generous donors and various grants, different programs. So that's why tonight we're just coming out here to ask if this fee could be waived, just to make every dollar from our gifts stretched to go into this project, which we're very excited about, and really can't wait to get started on it. And also, I do have a few cards on the set here.
Okay,
You guys, we'd love to see you guys volunteer. Anybody wants to volunteer with us, that would be great.
Go through you
Yeah.
to register
Yeah, we do have
for the Women Bill.
a letter here that was sent to council from Steve Gerbley at Harbor Engineering back on February 24th. We've worked with Habitat before. You've done the houses down on 5th Street. And we, at that point, you had offered $500 per unit for the fee in lieu of. And for that project, we had waived it. We took into consideration, you had the acquisition, you had the demolition, everything that was involved with that project. So I will leave this open to members of the Planning Commission, their wishes regarding this request for waiver from the Via Nua for the Rivertown Summit Habitat for Humanity project.
So does this get decided by council? So
No, no,
this is planning commission?
this comes to
Okay.
planning.
Okay, I thought it was, but then Steve had written to the.
Yeah, that was the question that was thrown out there, when this came up as to who does waive these fees. And it falls under the purview of the planning commission. So that's why I'm leaving this open for discussion by planning commission.
I greatly appreciate you being back and building more in Columbia. Thank you very much.
Mary, I don't have a problem with waiving it. Habitat for Humanity is an outstanding organization, and choosing Columbia is very appreciative. So I don't have a problem with waiving it. Certainly for such a large nonprofit organization.
So do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, have motion from Brad. Second from Justin. To waive the in lieu of fee for park and open space use for the Habitat for Humanity project, Rivertown Summit. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
Thank
you
you
got
so
your
much.
waiver.
Thank
The
you very
neighborhood's
much.
excited over on Linden Street for homes to be built there.
That's good. So we
Yes.
can't wait to get started.
When are you breaking ground over there?
We're hoping late April. Get
Late
started
April.
clearing
Okay,
away some
great.
brush and start excavating. I know we'll probably be working all summer, bring lots of volunteer groups and other subcontractors in. So
Don't forget
It's
to take
nice-
lots of pictures.
we definitely will. You can find a lot of stuff on.
It's-
our
They're
website.
online.
It's nice to see this happening because that was a project proposed by a private individual a couple years ago.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the plans that we saw for Habitat were very much like the plans that we had seen, I guess that was about 2 years ago.
I
Oh,
think
it's
it
2 to
was
3
longer
years
than that.
back.
Longer
Yeah.
than that.
It was before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was.
You know, everything's
Yeah,
before
it was,
COVID.
yeah.
PC, before COVID.
So I'm glad to see that project revived.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
thank
I
you.
have a
Thanks.
question. When will it be completed?
We're
Do you have-
hoping that we can be wrapping it up in the fall.
Okay.
So it
Wow.
all depends, construction schedules can change a lot.
Yeah,
But
that's exciting.
yeah, we're
Very excited. Good.
Okay,
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much
Thank you.
again.
Good night.
Take good
good
care.
night. Next one here is the executive summary for the comp plan. We had sent this over to council because of needing an expenditure of funds. And in the meantime, Paula has been working, trying to get some prices to be able to take to council. And she has some different options here for the layout of this executive summary. It's all yours, Paula.
Thanks. So this is 5 pages, as you well know. You all have one of these.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went down here to Art Printing and then also contacted Staples, and I know that Chris Vera had contacted Vistaprint also. Vistaprint pretty much came back with the same information Art Printing did with me, only they were a lot more expensive.
That's the one over near Maple Donuts.
I don't know whether-
Vistaprint, it's online.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
actually based out of Canada.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Okay,
I went down and spoke to Chris at Art Printing, and here are the options. It's a 5-pager, so don't be laughing. These are your options. It would be one full sheet, and,
And
Insert.
then like,
okay, now these would all be on good
good
Right.
stock paper, if not flimsy and stuff like this. Here's option 1. Option 2 is they staple here. Option 3 is you go with 2 full pages instead of the insert. The problem with that, and I said this is not my decision to make, but I would not go this route. You would have, if you went this way, you would have 3
Mhm.
blank pages that you could insert something, and his suggestion was perhaps a market house. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I want this to be this
Yeah,
and only this.
right.
But again, I was my own opinion said, it's not for me to say, but I would think that they would want it strictly that.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have 3 blank pages if you go
Let's do
this route.
Save a tree.
So, let me make sure I got all my options done here. I think the last one was this, where it would be a trifold, not this size, obviously. It would be,
A full
this
size
only,
and then
yes.
folded, okay.
so that was an option. They are the best price. Have that with me. I would hope,
Don't you?
I'm gonna say between
Right. Whatever looks
Two-
the best.
here it is, $295 and $395. Where Staples was, at least 6.
Ooh.
They were not cheap. 608, and that was just the Staples version. So it would be more to go any other route than that.
Right.
So you're looking at, and I did, talk to Mary when we met last week.
Mhm.
Do you really want and need 100? That's the other thing to look at.
Yeah.
You figure you want everybody.
Because they can run more, I mean, if, let's just say everybody, they all went, we got 50 of them, and they all got taken or whatever, you can order more.
Sure,
Mhm.
sure.
How much of a price difference is it per piece if you cut the amount in half? Usually it's cheaper the higher you
The
go.
more you go, right,
Right.
right. So that, that is your
So
call.
that trifold could be an 8x10 trifold.
I believe so. I will double check on that, but I remember him talking about that, and that kind of went in one ear and out the other to me, because I thought, no. And then tonight, as I'm putting my little demonstrations together, I'm thinking, that probably would be.
Because it's all connected.
Yeah. I
And
think
you would
I
have
like that
everything
better
right
than the
there.
Insert. When he
Yeah.
showed me the insert, I'm like,
A lot could be lost.
And there
They
will be
follow
language
that.
on every side.
Yes. And
I like the
Marilyn,
trifold.
when I said, about getting these, I
Like
would
that.
look them at putting some into realtors' hands.
Right.
oh, that's right.
And
That's what
businesses.
this wasn't just to put out there or to hand around to council or, if somebody comes in looking, wanting to do a project in town,
To the investors.
you hand something like that to them. That's why I felt the 100 wasn't too much out of.
So the
line.
I would
trifold
get
is
at
the
least
cheapest way?
100.
Hold on. It's a long page folded kind of like a brochure would, but it folds into an 8.5 by 11 final side. So, and it tends to be folded like a Z. So yes, that is an option. That would be 6. So
6 pages. Either way,
there would
6
be a
pages.
blank somewhere. My guess would be here.
The back center.
So that's 600? Did you say?
No,
No,
Yeah,
six,
that's what
count as 6 pages.
6 pages.
I haven't looked at this for a week or so. Hold on. Yeah. And that was for 100, so it's, he gave me 2 different prices. It would either be somewhere between $295 and $395 for 100.
Of the trifold?
Correct.
I like the trifold.
I do too.
Yeah.
Is that 2 color?
I'm sorry?
Is it 2 color?
Yes.
Mhm.
That's good.
I like that there's
I
no
like the
loose
trifold.
pages.
Right.
Yeah.
What's that?
I like there's no loose pages.
Right.
Because they all get pulled out and sometimes
Exactly.
get lost.
Okay, trifold wins.
Okay.
Thank you for your research.
Sure.
Yes. She had,
I like to keep
that
it
was
in
the
town
easiest
too.
job. she had.
Exactly.
Right.
I was
Okay.
thinking the same thing.
All righty. We have that was kind of our old business, but our discussion.
Okay.
Okay, under new business. This is an interesting project, gentlemen. I've been wondering what's happening down there at the Wright Mansion and the freight station. They've even put a gate in that fence in the back there now. Yeah.
Gotta turn this around.
Yeah, do you want to come up and sit so you can see this? You can, if you want to walk with that, take it and
No.
walk with it.
Good evening, I'm Ben Morton, I'm a landscape architect and client manager with RGS Associates out of our Lancaster City office. And with me tonight is James Abbott, the Executive Director of Lancaster. I'll turn it over to him in a moment just to give a little bit of the background on the mansion, what they're doing now and what they're hoping to do before getting into the details. But just wanted to say, we've been working now for a while with their architects to work through what the vision is for this project. And then late last month, had a sit down with the borough manager and borough engineer to try and get some feedback from staff. And one of the things they said was that it would be really helpful if we came in and introduced the project to you before we did the full land development submission. So here tonight to go over that and, hope to answer some questions, but also, take your comments in as we work towards the final design. So
Thank you.
I'll turn it over to you for a moment.
Make it brief. My name is Jim Abbott, James Abbott. I'm the Executive Director for Wrights Ferry Mansion and the Louise Steinman von Hess Foundation. And most of you, I would hope all of you, are familiar with Wrights Ferry Mansion. It has been open as a museum for 40 plus years. It is recognized as the definitive representation of Pennsylvania colonial architecture, decorative arts, design for the period 1700, 1750. It was, as most of you again know, it was built initially by Susanna Wright, of the Wright family, Wright's Ferry, in 1738. It remained in the Wright family until 1921, 1922, at which time it was acquired by one family, and then that family sold it subsequently to Richard C. von Hess and Louise Steinman von Hess in 1973. So there have been three owners, basically, since 1738. And with the purchase in 1973, Mr. and Mrs. von Hess dedicated 4 years and much funding to a thorough restoration and study of the house and then the furnishing of it. And when I speak of it having been more than 40 years as a museum, keep in mind that we see the house as an artifact. So with that, we are unlike every other museum you probably visit. We do not want more visitors to the museum. The museum is an artifact, original floorboards, plaster, etc. We preserve those as much as we preserve the furniture, the textiles, ceramic, glass, metalwork. To that, we do feel as if there is a need to be more of a year-round entity. And so we are looking at, we own the Railroad Freight Building, which was designed by Frank Furness. We stabilized that about 20 years ago. And now we would like to incorporate that into a larger campus where that would be a year-round museum that would tell the story about Susanna Wright, about her desire for a silk industry, about her abilities to negotiate with native cultures, her friendship with Logan, with Benjamin Franklin. It would become much more of an introduction to Wright's Ferry Mansion proper. To that, there will also be an extension of our decorative arts library. We have the cottage that was built initially to be the offices for the museum. The cottage stands on at 38 Second Street, South Second Street, just behind the mansion. That the plan is to have that open as a gallery, an art gallery of Mr. and Mrs. Von Hess's personal art collection, as well as the research library that they established in the 1970s and that has been continually built up to this point. That will become a publicly accessible library research opportunity for scholars of every level by appointment. And then in the railroad building, there will also be an annex to that library because it's continued to grow over 40 years. I can assure you it's outgrown the initial library space. So the desire is to have one campus that will celebrate Wright's Ferry, that will acknowledge Mr. and Mrs. Von Hess, and that will also nurture present day and hopefully future interest in historic preservation, in the study and appreciation of decorative arts and fine arts of the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. So I will.
May I ask
Sure.
you, several years, well, quite a few years ago, when that dig was done down at Rotary Park,
Right.
are
Belmont-
those
for Belmont.
artifacts still in the basement at the Wright Mansion?
They are in storage. They're in a climate-controlled facility, and some of those are actually going to be part of the exhibition, permanent exhibition that will be in the railroad building. So I can tell you that the vision is the initial centerpiece of the railroad building is going to be a 1.5-story lucite tree, mulberry tree, that's going to introduce Susanna Wright, her vision of the silk industry. We have received a number of objects that are more recent, but they're associated with the Wright family. So we're going to take the Wright family story up to the present day. And then with that, we're also going to have some hands-on components, and then there will also be 2 vignettes that will introduce Mr. and Mrs. Von Hess and their personal pursuits. The artifacts have always been, they were never stored in the basement, they were
Okay.
studied in the basement.
Studied, okay.
Okay.
I knew they were in the basement at one point.
They have always been, as artifacts, stored in climate-controlled facility. To that, we're fortunate that in the 1920s, Emmett Brasbridge, his family, the
It was
second
his
owners of the
family,
house,
Yes.
had actually acquired some architectural artifacts of the house of Belmont before it was demolished. So there will also be a dormer surround for that house, which Susanna Wright inherited,
Mhm.
that will be included in the exhibition.
Sounds wonderful.
This is
Wow.
exciting.
Yeah.
I'm
This
so
is
excited.
exciting.
This is awesome.
Is the museum currently only open by appointment?
It never has been open by appointment. It's open Tuesday.
April through October.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. The tours are on the hour,
Mhm.
10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12, 1, 2, last is at 3. They leave from that door. And one of the things that we are going to continue is, because so many people are familiar with entering a house or starting a tour on Second Street, we will actually begin tours in 2 places. There will be tours at traditional Second Street entrance, and then at the railroad building. That will also be a starting point for tours. We have a maximum of 10 people on tour, and I know that some people see that as elitist, and we're keeping people out, just for the hell of it.
No,
The fact of the matter is, we do it to preserve those 4 rooms,
Yes.
etc. So under 4,000 people annually for the mansion. That was implemented by Mr. and Mrs. Von Hess in 1978.
and what, it's April through October? It's something,
May 1st and end of October.
I
And then
had this
everything's put to
closed.
rest, everything is packed up.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So just taking a moment with the existing conditions, some of those pieces that we'll be looking at here. The project area does span 5 parcels owned by the foundation, and then just a little bit of a walkway extension onto the borough's property at the parking lot. One of those parcels is 38 South Second Street, where the mansion and the cottage are located. That is in the downtown commercial zone. And then the remaining 4 parcels are riverfront commercial. 3 of those are located between Bank Avenue and the railroad and are contiguous, and we're planning to consolidate those. The last one is really just a sliver of land that's not in the right of way between the borough parking lot and Front Street, where there'll be a little bit of landscaping. In both of those zones, the cultural center / museum use is allowed by right. So we don't see any challenges there from zoning or setbacks. anything like that.
May I ask, with consolidating those, will you be giving any consideration to that piece that goes into the now borough parking lot being
Easement.
being possibly deeded to the borough, or would that continue to be?
Our plan at this
I know
point
it's
was to
right
leave
now
that
it's-
the way that it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Our understanding is that there's some allowance for Wrights Ferry Mansion to utilize spaces in the lot, but of
Mhm.
course, there's no demarcation of the difference in ownership. And
I just had to ask.
Yeah.
Thank
No,
you.
we're intending to leave that as is, and in terms of the parking requirements for activating the railroad building, we're going to address all of those on the railroad property. So,
Okay.
and let's see, anything else I want to say? Maybe I'll note though, to that point before we go on, that Bank Avenue is not actually completely within the right of way at this point. And rather than move the road, we're planning to look at a dedication of a portion of it of the carway itself to clarify sort of the maintenance and rights of travel across the roadway. So, as described, much of what this project is about right now is activating the railroad building and sort of expanding the vision and ability for people to visit through that building. And from a site standpoint, and to help tie all this together, there's going to be a new entrance on what is the planned south side of the building facing the river, which then will tie into the pedestrian circulation plan west over to the new parking area, as well as a new connection into the borough lot. And then to the east, we'll have a very focused crossing point of Bank Avenue to then gateway to the original mansion site. In that gateway, there will be steps to get up the hill, and then there'll also be an accessible walkway that will traverse some new planting areas and get you to the same location by the entrance to the cottage building. In terms of the crossing of Bank Avenue, there's not a lot of traffic on it right now, but we do have some concerns over the speed of at least some people who go down the
Yeah.
road. So we're looking to repave the section that you see hatched on your plans. We're thinking in terms of something that adds some texture, gives the sense that you should slow down, and we've been thinking about cobblestones. In talking with the borough engineer, he suggested that we do need to discuss with Department of Public Works whether they would be comfortable with that versus some sort of texture,
Something stamped.
either asphalt or concrete that might be easier for maintenance in the long term. But in either sense, an aesthetic improvement, something that provides some traffic calming. And then at the crossing itself, we'd be looking to do sort of a gentle speed table where you raise it up, enhance the visibility of pedestrians, and give people a sense that you need to slow down. We're also planning to have a wooden guardrail along the frontage of the property, both to keep any traffic from going onto the lawn, or also to protect the building, but it will also serve to make it so that people are really crossing the street at that location of the crosswalk and the raised speed table, rather than kind of as they may choose when walking on the east side of the building.
So that's what's pictured here on the west side of Bank Avenue. Is the-
Yes, running
Right,
all along there. Yep.
okay.
And that is something where, I don't have images at this point, but we've been looking at, some very particular detailing on that so that it certainly can be a step above just a standard wooden guardrail. And I think that really enhance the aesthetics of the drive. Another improvement that we're looking to make on the 38 South Second Street property is a terrace on the west side of the building. That we are looking to do is sort of an accelerated project that's likely to be processed as a small stormwater plan with a small rain garden, but it will, again, serve the ability to have additional people engaging with the property in ways that haven't been able to thus far.
And that would be an uncovered terrace? That would
Correct.
Be strictly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, for sort of planting from a land development standpoint, we are looking at, adding some trees around the parking lot, providing both screening and sort of some landscape in between the borough's parking lot and our new lot, so that we're not getting sort of too much of an expansive pavement without the greenery. And we're going to be looking to make sure that we're focusing some views of the building, and then we're also trying to keep views from the walkway in front of the railroad building towards the river to be open.
Mhm. You've taken some trees down in the back property there.
Yes, as
Over,
part of,
like in the last years, I walk that regularly down there, and I just thought, probably back in the fall, looked like there. No, inside the fence on the actual property.
We did do that, and the reason was that a staff member fulfilled Mr. Von Hess's original vision, which was to mask the building from being seen. And unfortunately, what that did is it held in the water, and we just went through about $250,000 worth of replacement of siding on the cottage alone, and rods, and we saw some roofing issues.
Mhm.
So everyone advised us, the trees were beautiful, and we saved the ones that had been initially planted by Mr. Von Hess, but we had to remove others because they were detrimental to the stability of the.
Kind of in that area where you've got the gate in there now.
Right.
Yeah. The gate's new.
And the gate is for,
Access.
oh, yeah. Yes,
Access
okay,
right
so
now.
That's what you're talking about with the gate. Yes, that's, we're actually tomorrow having some of the geotechnical testing that we need to do for stormwater management done. And because we're putting the rain garden on that property,
Up
we need to
there.
get some equipment in there. So that's the purpose there. There is a plan to both restore the retaining wall that is along there. Some of it's very low.
Beautiful under
Yeah.
there. Where you can see it, it's beautiful.
And then integrating with the wall a new fence. And so the only actual gateway through in the future will be
Over
this
there.
new structure that's on the plan.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see that down there. Even just being able to see that wall again and all of that overgrown vine and stuff. You just can't see anything down there.
and then with the railroad, building,
Beautiful.
the doors that basically
Right.
pull up. So you will enter through one side and you'll be able to be up, when you enter the building, the other side will be permanently open, so you'll be able to see the museum. So it will make a much stronger visual connection between the mansion and the river.
Very excited
Yep.
about
Wow.
this.
It's good.
So over in this area where you're putting flagstone and sand to the south side of the existing building there,
Mhm.
is that also going to be any kind of a terrace, or is that more for stormwater or what?
You're talking about on this,
Yeah, those two spots, yeah.
well, on,
There's one right next to
Oh,
the
yeah,
building.
yeah.
It'll be it'll be a courtyard. So
Okay,
the intent is that you have the current driveway on Second Street that
Right.
actually draws people
that comes down there.
Yes. So the intent is to actually have a gathering place while the museums are open, that people, benches there, potted trees, et cetera. It will create a gathering place between the two, the railroad building and the mansion itself.
This is so exciting.
It's a shame all that bamboo is not on your property, that you could get rid of it.
I was gonna say, it's a blessing from my end. Trust me.
That just takes over down there. It just takes over. Personally, I like very much what I'm seeing. When I got this packet and opened that up, I thought, now I know what I've been seeing down there, what's coming. And
That'd be awesome.
it's nice to see. This is
Right
awesome.
there. Big time.
This is awesome.
I'll mention some more things. The railroad building will also have a changing exhibition space with galleries, so that will also the opportunity to celebrate contemporary artists for the research of current historians, to celebrate them in the context of Susanna Wright's Wrightsbury Mansion. And that gives you an idea that there is definitely a vision there to continue to celebrate, not just the historical, but to try to bridge contemporary and historical. Oh, also, we are not doing any, we have no intention to be a rental venue. So the properties are to be enjoyed in the context that they're being designed for the context.
So those pallets of flagstone that are sitting out there are for this project?
Those are actually for, we hired a master gardener to give us an inventory of plantings that were in the region 1700, 1750. And behind the fence of Second Street, there will be, because it's uneven, we're using those stones to create an even bed, and we will be, it's basically going to be wildflowers. Because the Second Street entrance to Wrightsbury Mansion, as you are well aware,
It's the back door.
is the back door. So we want to convey more of a naturalistic environment. So there will be those plantings, and then the mowed front lawn. Our hope is to do a clover lawn. With that, the grass will be maintained, obviously, but at the same time, it will be more naturalistic.
You have bees in there then.
We will have these.
Bees for the
We
clover.
want them, but I
Yes.
know that some people do not. Yes.
Okay. Any further comments from planning?
It's really fabulous. We
And I-
appreciate you coming early. That is
Thank you
always
for
important and
coming.
helpful.
Yes.
The area that you have to thank them. I like the idea of the speed table crossing. We can plow that. Speed bumps don't work so well. We have found that stamped concrete or stamped macadam in several crossings we had with another project up on Main Street. If you go across to do the stamped macadam, you basically do it and then put the macadam in again and burn the imprint in. there's a little bit of a rise, and people feel that little bit of a rise and then slow down. Something to think about. I'll stick my foot in my mouth here.
If you're not aware, this is Armeria Roads.
He's actually the gentleman who introduced cobblestones about 3 years ago over lunch.
Okay.
Yes, you remember.
So I'm changing my mind. I like that.
Yeah,
The other part of this is, I look at this and I look at what's going to happen down there, and I can't help but wonder, should this be a one-way road from
Locust
Locust to
to
Union?
Union.
I believe so.
To
Well,
me,
I thought it was.
No,
to me,
it's
it's
not.
going to be a safer travel course.
As representing the rights area, I think it's a discussion for the borough, it's a
Right.
discussion for the neighbors. I can see the benefit for it with regards to this project, but I would never want to force the issue. I think it's something.
Well, my only concern is their antique store, but that's almost adjacent to Union Street.
Right.
So it's not, you would be traveling further back to Locust than you would to Union. And there, the traffic isn't that heavy. So
Then you can get out on 441.
what I'm
Yeah.
concerned mostly
That would
about
make
is through traffic.
sense.
People like to run avenues.
Mhm.
They cut off a block station gas.
Walking from Locust to Union, most times any traffic is coming.
Yeah,
And
it's a
that-
discussion for council. The other final thing is the triangle to the east of the freight station. Any thought about putting some parking in there?
We want to keep it natural, because the density of the industrial. Sort of, my feeling is, and I'll listen to it, talk.
Sorry about that.
No,
My fear is that it's so densely industrial, what we're trying to do is bridge the early 18th century with the 21st century, and we want to at least have some sense of the rural aspect, which is what, Susanna Wright and Wright's Ferry and knew.
I wanted to hear you say that, Mr. Abbott, because that tells me that the parking you have provided, the amount of visitors at one time is going to be added. And you don't need a great parking. And basically create parking problems for us.
Well, and keep in mind that from at least the mansion perspective, it's 10 maximum on a tour each hour.
Mhm.
And we do take reservations for tours and we're not exclusive, because we want to be exclusive. We're exclusive because we're preservationists. So, we're fortunate. We will not have coaches. We will not have a 60-seat coach pulling in. That's not our audience.
There's parking here.
They'll have to
Well,
cross
there
walk.
there is parking with 3 buses in that.
I don't want to encourage it.
Okay,
That's too much.
I think it's
It's fabulous. It's
It's going to be doing a lot in that part of town. that neighborhood. And I think you've coined it very well. It's so done for lives. That softening of this, especially as historic as this is.
Yes.
Is going to do the job.
I'll also throw in, we add a degree of security for the neighborhood. We could always install
Security cameras.
security cameras on that building, and that will increase in number as this is developed.
You've increased the lighting on that building too.
That'd be the next question the chief would ask.
They've also increased the lighting on that building.
Hopefully that will be adjusted, amended, because I think it's a little bit tense now.
Mhm.
But right now it serves our purposes. And I hope, and the security cameras, it certainly makes it.
Mhm. Okay, well, again, thank you very much. Look forward to
Wow.
seeing this developed, and we will see you back here.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
That's
always
really
one
wonderful.
more thing.
Probably missed it, but where's the handicap? Because that building, the floor of that building sits up about 4 feet.
Yes, so actually,
Yes, yes.
yeah, this entire, on either side,
Right there.
going to this entrance here, this is a ramp up and then it ramps back down and somewhere back up.
Because you have an entrance.
And
Have
then
an
the
entrance there.
building across the way, there's also a ramp there. Now, to that, there are only 2 rooms in a mansion that can be seen by, with someone in a wheelchair. But to that, Joe Kindred III, before he passed away, did a tour of each of the rooms of the mansion. So one can actually go into, will be able to go into the railroad, to sit in the theater, and to actually tour every one of the rooms and learn about the collection. So it will be an intensive study with the person who helped build the collection.
Wow,
So it's
that's
gonna be
awesome.
exciting.
Hey,
Well, that's political.
Ah, he's got one of the books.
Yeah.
You've
So,
got the
I
books.
you can share this. This is on the collection, and I'm sorry it isn't the
Mhm.
map set, and this is on the house, but these were published
Oh, that's wonderful.
about 10 years ago. So just
Wow.
to remind you of the house and its collection.
Thank you so
I
much.
sent my sister a set of those for a Christmas gift one year. Because they had toured it. She was out of state and she loved it. She loved it.
The museum is really an outgrowth. There was a lovely woman who came my first 2 years as executive director, in April from Japan. She's seen this house, and for 2 years, I had to tell her that she couldn't. I did give her a set of the books, and we shortchange people when you have a seasonal schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So this year-round museum is hopefully going to be able to entice people, give them enough information that
Right.
they can come back.
Okay. Thank you
Really
very much.
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's exciting. Okay. Our next meeting is our joint meeting on Thursday evening, 7 o'clock here. Our next planning commission meeting is April 15th. Any further
Get your
comments
taxes turned
from members? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Oh,
Second.
okay. All right, Brad and Tiff and Brad. Okay. I have a motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:48. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you very much. See you Thursday.